The fact that the Polin relationship was up and running for 3 seasons, and not once did they make any pollination jokes. Nothing but missed opportunities from top to bottom, tall to Coughlan.
Put your pollen tube to work.
Hi, I'm LadyJenevia, and on my channel I like to talk about entertainment media. I've made a lot of videos about Netflix's Bridgerton, and I know there are a fair few folks waiting for me to do a Benedict Bridgerton video. Now that he's got his main girl and she's East Asian, the Asian romance girlies have won yet again, and you are all invited to karaoke night to celebrate, but only if you're going to be cool.
To act cool, to look cool, and to be cool.
New trousers from the motherland. I have a cute buckle on the leg, and I have these in 2 other colors because that's how much I like them.
It's burning through to my soul.
I was nearing the end of editing my new video about Kate and Anthony's library scene. I think I had about less than 10 minutes left to work on that when I was struck with inspiration for how to give season 3 some proper closure here on my channel. I thought I was going to just leave season 3 behind as is because of how disappointing of a watch it ended up being, especially after an inexcusably long wait time of 2 years. The idea for this video arose unexpectedly. It was as if, unbeknownst to me, my subconscious was calculating the data of season 3, and once the task had finished, it popped back up into my conscious thoughts. I figured it would be a quick thing to put together, particularly when I was looking at the output of upcoming film releases, and I didn't feel like there was anything all that pressing for me to review for the final week of August. I might as well do this video instead, and it would be a quick thing to throw together before I dive headfirst into a Benedict Bridgerton season.
With open arms. An open letter.
Now that I've had 3 seasons of Colin and Penelope on the show, I've read their book, and made some videos combing through their materials spanning both of those mediums, I've decided to share a creative exercise of reworking their material on the show. This is a rework for all 3 seasons that they have appeared in thus far, not just their 1 season that they got to be the official main characters. This isn't an overly comprehensive brainstorm to the point of bleeding far into other characters' storylines. It's first and foremost about the material for Colin and Penelope's relationship journey from friends to lovers. Regardless of the numerous problems with season 3 as it was delivered, this is not an anti-Polin video. They have several moments throughout these first 3 seasons that I have enjoyed watching. I simply wanted to get more of those moments and not a bunch of poorly executed melodrama and unengaging subplots that took time away from seeing Colin and Penelope be cute and in love in what I mistakenly believed was going to be a season about them being cute besties who realize, oops, we're in love, so let's get married. This is also not an anti-Nicola Coughlan or Luke Newton video. I think that the both of them tried their absolute best with the material that they were given, and Nicola in particular spent her entire global press tour as a leading lady, raising awareness and fundraising for Palestine. And following that point, I will reiterate once again that there are donation links in this video's description box. I continue to include them there because the people still need help. I really didn't want to analyze Colin and Penelope's relationship in such a way where it would only consist of drilling into the multitude of missteps of bad vibes and unsolicited melodrama, because I've already talked about those types of issues with the material.
Oh, wait a minute. I've already done that.
By the way, here's my cat, Kimiko. It's been a minute since I brought her on here. I wanted to quickly remind anyone, especially if you are a new person here, that when we hit 30K subscribers, Kimiko will be getting a new shirt, and she will make yet another appearance on the channel to show it off for all of you.
It's fashion? Is it wait, but is it fashion? It's fashion.
Let's take things back to season 1. What is the most significant memory I have of Polin in season 1? What is the definitive Polin season 1 moment that I want to keep and establish their relationship on? Of course, it has to be the moment that Cressida is being nasty and insufferable, so basically she's being herself, bullying Penelope like she always does. And what does Mr. Colin Bridgerton do? He sticks up for Penelope and he dances with her.
How convenient.
Penelope, I did not see you there.
I'm afraid I cannot offer you that dance, Miss Coughlan. I am to escort Miss Featherington to the floor.
And with that in mind, don't fucking show up. Unless you're going to stop being a goddamn cockblock.
Going beyond the obvious reason of why this is cute, I really like that the social dynamics of this stay aligned with the lore of Regency decorum, the way things work in this high society. You are not going to directly confront someone for acting like a scumbag at this sort of public social gathering. You will maintain the persona of being ladies and gentlemen, but you still find a way to make your allegiance known. You side with the lady who's been slighted, Penelope, and you politely decline Cressida go away Cowper.
Ah, les petits fils de pute!
It has been a couple of years since I've read book 1, but I'm fairly certain that this incident was in book 1, except it was Simon who danced with Penelope. I'm fine with the show having it be Colin though, because it shows that they're friends, and it's also a good foreshadowing tool to people who do not know the source material, that these two are going to be a main couple at some point. What I envision for a reworked season 1 Polin is that we go full on with Heart Eyes Penelope.
Hard eyes, motherfucker.
This is where you really lay a strong foundation of the friends portion of the friends to lovers trope. Don't do an insufferable melodramatic subplot that results in a tidal wave of hate against a black actress. Just have Colin and Penelope be friends. Also, do more to show that the Bridgerton family more or less accepts Penelope as one of their own, because that was a detail that I really liked from the Polin book that wasn't as present in the live action adaptation. Set Penelope up in season 1 as the she fell first of the phrase she fell first but he fell harder. I'm jumping around a bit here, but my favorite Polin moment from season 2 was when they were at the races and Penelope sees Colin and then she starts looking around pretending as though she doesn't see him until Colin sees her, calls out to her, and then she acts so surprised. It was hilarious.
Pen.
Oh, Colin!
Nicola Coughlan is a comedy queen, and I understand that Bridgerton's premise and her character on this show are their own specific thing. It would not be fair for me to expect Nicola to be completely unhinged like she was on Dairy Girls in every job that she takes, even if I do have fun watching her Claire highlight reels from that series.
Hey there. Hi, I'm a lesbian.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But the vibe of this oops, I didn't see you exchange, that feels more suited to how I envision a redone season 1 Polin. Set them up as friends and the audience can go, oh, they're cute together. They should be a thing. But while this is going on, Violet can be nagging Colin to get married because that's what she does. She hyperfixates on trying to get her children married. She does that in the books, and she does that on the show, and she can state the obvious to Colin in season 1. Hey, you and Penelope, what's the holdup? Go propose. And that could set up the rift that would be more similar to the book version. Throw away the I would never dream of courting Penelope Featherington that happened in public at a social gathering where he slights his so-called friend to random men in the ton. Do it instead like it was done in the book, where Antony and Benedict are poking fun and teasing Colin, because I love when that trio has banter.
It is meant to be a sipping spirit. Have you not heard? The Viscount believes in hurrying things along these days. First the wedding, now his drink. I just hope for Edwina's sake the tendency stops before the honeymoon.
Have you always been so vulgar? Or staring at naked models all day turned your brain to charcoal?
Bridgerton family banter is the second most important thing to see on this series after the central romance of that season. Feel free to remind the season 3 higher-ups about that.
No. Undo, damn it. Undo. You undo, damn it.
And then that's when Colin lashes out at his older brothers like he did in the book, and I'm certainly not going to marry Penelope Featherington. And of course, that would be the exact moment when Penelope overhears the conversation. She's always hanging out at the Bridgerton house because she's besties with Eloise. The Bridgertons regard her as unofficially part of the family already, and she's always coming over. And instead of doing something horrible like, oh, I don't know, not having Colin immediately apologize to his friend and leaving the show's audience to stew in their resentment against Colin for 2 years until the next season, that would be an awful idea. Could you imagine? You do it like it was in the book, where Colin is mortified and he immediately apologizes and Penelope politely stands up for herself. I'm not going to read the full scene out loud again. I've already done that in Well, I don't remember which video it was, but I'm certainly not going to go looking for it. I'm trying to get away from season 3. There is, though, a Bridgerton playlist on my channel with all the videos I've made about the series since I began covering it. Now, in the book, Antony walks Penelope home after this kerfuffle, but I think at this point he was already married to Kate, and season 1 Antony is a bit much. So instead of this next part being between Penelope and Antony, I would change it to be between Penelope and Violet. In the book, Penelope is the one who suggests to Antony that Colin should go traveling since it's clear he's not ready to get married yet. On the show, you can have her suggest this to Violet, which would make sense because Violet was the one who was pushing Colin to get married, and in my version, if Penelope is largely regarded as being part of the family, Violet would feel guilty that she pushed too hard, and Penelope got her feelings hurt as a result. So Violet could be the one to push this idea through. It would be a fitting ending for season 1 Polin because it jumpstarts Colin having this interest in traveling, which he needs to do if he's ever going to begin writing his journals. It would position Penelope to be more intertwined with Colin, with her being the one to more or less launch him into the world. That would mean that she has had a profound impact on shaping him into the man he's eventually going to become. They can end the season still as friends, but the illusion is now broken. Penelope no longer has her rose-tinted glasses on, where she is overly idealizing and romanticizing Colin and putting him up on a pedestal on which he doesn't belong. Now they can be on a more even ground.
Someone more like Colin.
My brother?
No, not Colin. Colin!
Glad to see things have not changed.
Now we get to season 2. I like the homecoming exchange. Obviously, you wouldn't do it exactly like it was in the show, since show Penelope still had the rose-tinted glasses on, but I did really like the camera work and the editing that lingers on the two of them looking at each other. In my reworked season 2, Colin can return from his traveling, and then we get this mutual lingering staring between Colin and Penelope, something to indicate that Penelope still has something simmering in her feelings for Colin, but it would be a more subdued version than what we would have seen from her in season 1. In Colin's staring, we would be able to observe that something is beginning to shift. He is starting to look at her differently, but you cannot do too much just yet because you need to save things for them to explore, develop, and escalate in season 3 once they are the main couple. But you do just enough to make it clear to the audience that Colin and Penelope have a slow burn. Even if things are moving slowly, it doesn't mean that they're not moving at all. Now, Colin has already apologized at the end of season 1. In my version, he apologized immediately. However, he still wants to make amends with Penelope, so this is when he's going to offer to help Penelope find a husband. It's an opportunity to work on mending their friendship, but you can also play around with the notion that maybe, subconsciously, Colin is looking for an excuse to hang out more with Penelope, spend more time alone, unchaperoned, something that they are able to get away with because, as I've already said, Penelope is embraced by the Bridgerton family. She can come over all the time, and no one in that family is going to snitch to the ton that Colin and Penelope may or may not be spending time together unchaperoned. The let me give you lessons concept of season 3 wasn't a bad idea, but they did so very little with it. Let me see the Pygmalion of it all. Moreover, let me see the superior version of Pygmalion. Selfie, starring John Cho and Karen Gillan, a series that understood that lessons can be hot and a great excuse for accidental flirting.
So lesson number 1, while I'm casually talking to you, find some small excuse to touch me.
One of the things you could do for Penelope's character arc in this season is address her struggling with her confidence. We know that her actual family treats her poorly. Imagine trying to force a reconciliation of Penelope with her family when she has her own season. That would be a terrible idea. Can you imagine? Just shut the gates and lock them while your horrible family is stuck on the other side, Penelope. That is the ending you deserve. Anyway, Penelope's family treats her horribly, Cressida bullies her incessantly, and the men of the ton, they don't see her as a catch because they have no brains, only generational wealth. So Penelope doesn't have many options. The lessons are not only a means of developing the slow burn, they can also play into the development of Penelope's confidence, so once you reach the end of season 2, she will be a bit more secure in herself as a person. Also, you can still put in the thing that actually happened happened in season 2, where Madame Delacroix joined in on the Lady Whistledown operation, build up the friendship between her and Penelope, and script conversations where you can get more of an insight into both of these women who put a lot of work into something that they love, making dresses and writing Lady Whistledown newsletters. I already said the lessons were too rushed in season 3, so start them early in season 2 so that when you bring Lord Debling in as a suitor for Penelope, you will feel like the lessons actually worked. However, don't make these lessons something that teach her how to be a false version of herself. Use them instead as a tool that shows her how to get out of her own way and be herself, because Lord Debling liked Penelope as she was, and that was cute.
Rather dull one, if I am honest. Forgive me, I should not have said that.
Do not apologize. In fact, I find your frankness immensely refreshing.
You can end season 2 with Penelope choosing to decline Lord Debling's proposal because she will have had this season arc of gaining confidence in herself, learning from Madame Delacroix about what it means to be a woman who works for a living, which is regarded by high society as something lesser, but it would ultimately appeal to Penelope since she, no matter what, would be able to afford to live independently on her Lady Whistledown income. She's never been fully embraced by high society anyway. She only needs access to those parties to be a snooping spinster. But you can also have Penelope decline the proposal because she is a romantic. And Lord Debling, nice as he was, they were not in love with one another. And if she's coming into her own as a person, she will realize that she likes herself as she is. She's self-aware enough to know that she's a romantic. And even though Lord Debling is nice, Penelope doesn't want to be in a loveless marriage like what she saw her parents have. So she would rather be single and independent, doing her Lady Whistledown operation, than enter into a merely platonic marriage.
In truth, I find myself drawn back time and time again to stories of love.
And what is it about those stories that interests you?
They are histories of connection, of hope for a better life.
Colin, I don't have as concrete of an arc because they gave him so little material on the show that there's not enough of a foundation there to spark as much creative inspiration. The book focuses on the idea that he lacks purpose and he's struggling with not knowing what to do with his life. Maybe season 2 could have Penelope suggesting to Colin that he begins to write in more details about his travels. He could be telling her stories from his travels and she could say, well, why don't you write them down? Maybe she could say something cheeky and passing like, you could keep your stories and then read them to your children someday. And that could be foreshadowing to Colin and Penelope having babies. And it would also further establish how Penelope has an impact on Colin. You have her in season 1 suggesting that he should go traveling, and now in season 2, she can suggest that he starts writing, reiterating the idea of you made me a better man, except it's not falling into that really annoying thing that fiction does where women have to fix men. It would be something more natural and organic, and you have so much more time with these two characters across 3 seasons that you have this space to do it in a way that you wouldn't be able to do with a couple that only has 1 season in the marriage mart to meet, get acquainted, fall in love, and get married before their season finale. So season 2, Colin will start journaling. He will play sexy teacher in a Pygmalion storyline. Slow burn increase his romantic feelings for Penelope, but a lot of that has to stay deep in his subconscious. He cannot have it fully click just yet. Penelope will gain more confidence in herself. She'll build her friendship with Madame Delacroix, learn what she would be giving up if she were to work for a living as an unmarried spinster, and she will make peace with that so that she can politely decline Lord Debling's proposal, and they will end things on good terms because he's a nice man, and since he already said he finds her frankness immensely refreshing, she can tell him exactly why she's declining. The only thing she has to keep secret is that she's Lady Whistledown. You're really nice, but I'm a romance girly, and if I'm going to get married, it needs to be for love, but I wish you all the best with finding a compatible match with a woman who will be able to help you oversee your estate while you are off elsewhere saving the birds.
You cannot marry that man. He will leave you, and he is too particular, and he is just not right for you, Ben.
Season 3 is my least developed season because it was just so...
Should I block it? Yeah. I'ma block it.
Disappointing.
I am being very fucking positive.
I wanted to watch a cute friends to lovers story, and they hardly got to feel like friends when it was finally their turn to be the main characters. There were not enough cute moments for them in their season. The half and half release model also made it significantly worse. They did have some cute moments that, when cut together, make a really fun highlight reel, but if it's their season, I should feel inclined to circle back to rewatch their entire love story, not a highlight reel. For the season 3 opening, you of course have to do the meet cute.
Well, this was some meet cute.
Flashback to their childhood when Colin fell off his horse because Penelope's yellow hat blew off her head and hit him in the face. He falls into the mud, she apologizes, and he laughs off the whole ordeal, and there you have it, Penelope Featherington has just fallen in love. I go back and forth about how to jumpstart their present day story. I know that I see Penelope as someone that's made peace with being a so-called spinster, but as for Colin, I'm leaning towards the idea of him returning from his travels and catching up with his bestie Penelope, and once he fully realizes that she's decided to become a spinster, he freaks out a bit. Or a lot, because he starts to comprehend new depths of how degraded Penelope's been made to feel by the Ton and by her family, and he's flabbergasted that no one could see how great she is, how beautiful she is, how she would be an incredible wife that anyone would be lucky to be with, and oh my god, I'm in love with Penelope Featherington. Yeah, you dodo, it took you 3 seasons to figure that out, but that's alright, Colin, you're just in time, because it's your season now. The moment has come for you to take action and woo Penelope Featherington. So Colin is now going to be the he fell harder in the phrase she fell first but he fell harder. He's going to try desperately, pathetically, in a way that's really fun to watch, to convince Penelope that of course she should get married. And somewhere in the midst of that we can do the first kiss scene from the book where she asks him to kiss her, and we as the audience can enjoy it because of course he's going to say yes because he's realized that he's in love with her. But he also is really freaked out because he thinks she's only asking from a let me get smooched so I know what it's like before I die perspective. Don't have the first kiss immediately segue into them now fully pursuing something romantic, because I want to keep that willow tree scene. It was so much fun to watch. One of the high points of their entire season.
But I assure you nothing of the kind will ever happen again.
Of course. And I apologise.
But I apologise for asking.
I do not apologise.
You apologise?
Yes, but yes.
It had the exact energy I wanted them to have as the main couple of season 3. And clearly the audience feels similarly, because I did a poll on my community tab of some of my favorite Polin moments. I picked one from each season, and the willow tree scene was the one that got the most votes. Colin could really start pushing harder to romantically woo Penelope after they have their first kiss, but have Penelope be a bit more iffy and hesitant because she feels weird about him finally pursuing her after all these years. But there's also the issue of him not knowing about her being Lady Whistledown. She could play off his pursuits jokingly, like, Colin, you were the one who said, and I'm certainly not going to marry Penelope Featherington, and that only makes him more determined to convince her that they would be great together. Don't have him say, I love you just yet, though, because you have to earn that. This is also the season where you should have Penelope start being more involved with helping Colin with his journals, the way that she did in their book. This will also help to facilitate them, yet again, to spend more time together, but also for her to always have that reminder that even if she were to try to see if there could actually be something real with Colin, she has Lady Whistledown to think of. Writing is a passion, and what if he won't accept her once he knows the truth? She could also maintain some hesitation because, as I said, she's the one that had to spend all those years in love with him, all while he was never matching her energy. Then we could do the reveal where he follows her and he discovers the Lady Whistledown thing, have a longer carriage scene, more like the one in the book where they actually fully talk things out, just without the overly aggressive, angry energy that's the very 2000s toxic masculinity. Then the culmination of them finally knowing each other completely would be him saying, I love you, and she could say it back, and then they can do some salacious stuff.
You gotta put your fingers in the holes.
I didn't fully break this season where I diagram episode by episode of what happens when, but obviously this part would come first, and then they get married. Imagine Bridgerton actually having a happy wedding, as if it's a romance story that romance fans are watching for romance. Wouldn't that be something? Then, after they're married, you can do the Cressida blackmail thing. And I'm sorry to break this to you if you've made it this far, but I don't have a strong vision for how I would resolve this part of the story because I didn't like how the book did it, and I didn't like how the show did it either. I didn't like either ending to the Lady Whistledown storyline. In the book, Colin announces to the Ton, without telling Penelope beforehand what he's going to do, that Penelope is Lady Whistledown. So as a result, Cressida is no longer able to threaten them because now everyone knows. And then obviously the show did whatever the hell that was. The ending for a reworked season would probably be contingent on whatever plans are in motion for other stories, for other couples, what the actors want to do. Do they want to keep being brought back for small subplots, or do they prefer to be fully released to be able to pursue other jobs? Also, at the time of making this video, I have only read Daphne, Antony, Colin, and Francesca's books. I'm going to read Benedict's next. I don't know if there are things in those stories that would spark ideas that would make me feel more insistent to keep Colin and Penelope, and more specifically, the Lady Whistledown story involved. If the actors want to go off and spread their wings in show business, you could have Colin and Penelope run away to go travel together for a while.
I get super horny when I travel, and that's not my fault, that's science.
Then you could always have the option to bring them back if and when it's convenient for those actors, and by that point, you will have given Cressida the boot because who invited her? Certainly not I. Cressida was sent away in the real season 3, so maybe you do something like that where Colin and Penelope don't even need to figure it out because extenuating circumstances fixed the problem for them. Maybe Penelope being friends with Madame de la Croix makes it to where she knows something about the Cowpers that Penelope can use as ammunition to silence Cressida. I don't know. My brain does not consider this to be a pressing issue because I don't care about Cressida. I never have, and I never will. What I care about seeing first and foremost on Bridgerton is good, fluffy, frothy romance. Just let me see Colin and Penelope reach the culmination of several years of buildup of their slow burn love story. You don't need to explain to the audience for the 500th time that life is more challenging for these wealthy Regency women who don't work for a living if they don't get married.
I want to thank you for your point of view. I know how difficult it must be for you to overcome all those years of upper middle class suburban oppression. Must be tough.